Hi friends, in our journey towards learning the data structures, first of all we have to understand the difference between data types and abstract data types. So let's get started. First of all, what is a data type? As an example, consider the equation 3x plus y is equals to 1. The variables x and y can take any values such as integral numbers 1, minus 2, real numbers 0.5, minus 0.5 or just 0 and 1. To solve the equation, we need to relate x and y to the kind of values they can take, such as integers, real numbers, etc. Data type is the name used in computer programming for this purpose. A data type in a programming language is a set of data with predefined values. These are the examples of data types: integer, floating point, unit number, character, string, etc. When I say predefined values, it means int data type will take only integers and float data type will take only real numbers. Computer memory is all filled with zeros and ones. If we have a problem like the above equation and we want to code it, it's very difficult to provide the solution in terms of zeros and ones. So, to help users, programming languages and compilers provides us with data types. For example, integer take 2 bytes. Actual value depends on compiler. That is, in 16-bit compiler, integer takes 2 bytes and in 32-bit compiler, integer takes 4 bytes. Float takes 4 bytes in 16-bit compiler as well as in 32-bit compiler. We know that 1 byte equals to 8 bits. Above example says that in memory, we are combining 2 bytes, that is 16 bits, and calling it an integer. Similarly, combining 4 bytes, that is 32 bits, and calling it a float. So finally we can say that a data type reduces the coding effort. We have already discussed what a data type is. Now we will summarize it. There are two important things about data types. It defines a certain domain of values. It defines operations allowed on those values. That is, the data type takes certain predefined values and also the operations allowed on those values. For example, we can think of integer values. Here we can take only integer values. The operations allowed are addition, subtraction, multiplication, bitwise operations, etc. We can perform almost every operation with integer type. Let's take another type, that is float. Float takes only floating point values. The operations allowed are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. But we cannot perform bitwise and mod operations on them. So it is clearly understandable that the data type not only defines a certain domain of values, but also defines the operations defined on that values. Let's discuss what are the different types of data types. At the top level, there are two types of data types. First one is system defined data types, also called as primitive data types. Second one is user defined data types, also called as derived data types. And it is also known as non-primitive data types. Let's understand what are system-defined data types. Data types that are defined by system are called primitive data types. The primitive data types provided by many programming languages are int, float, char, double and bool, etc. The number of bits allocated for each primitive data type depends on the programming languages, the compiler and the operating system. So, for the same primitive data type, different languages may use different sizes. Depending on the size of data types, the total available values will also change. For example, int may take 2 bytes or 4 bytes. If it takes 2 bytes, that is 16 bits, then the total possible values are from minus 2 power 15 to 2 power 15 minus 1. If it takes 4 bytes, that is 32 bits, then the possible values are from minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1. Here is the total possible values for int of having n bits. And here signed 32-bit integer and unsigned 32-bit integer are also mentioned. The same is the case with other data types. If the system-defined data types are not enough, then most programming languages allow the users to define their own data types, called user-defined data types. Basically, it is a data type that derived from an existing data type. Some good examples of user-defined data types are structures, unions in C, C++ and classes in Java. Here is an example of structure. In this, we are combining many system-defined data types like char, int, float, that is char name, int roll number, float marks. This is the new data type formed and the name of it is student. The initial address of data is 1000. Generally addresses will be in hexadecimal, but for our understanding we are taking decimal values. Here each character is assigned to 1 byte. So 1000 becomes 1020 at roll number as there are 20 characters in name. Int takes 2 bytes, so it becomes 1022 when it comes to marks. Structure is same as an array. The only difference is in array we can store same type of data, but in structure we can store different type of data. Now we will see data type representation. This is the simple data type representation. Here are some examples of system defined data type, that is int, float, char, double, boolean. These are also called as primitive data types. And also user defined data types, that is function, array, pointer, structure, union and type definition. These are also called as derived data types or non-primitive data types. Before going into abstract data types, let's understand the data structure a little more. Once we have data in variables, we need some mechanism for manipulating that data to solve problems. The solution for that is data structures. Data structures is a particular way of storing and organizing data in a computer so that it can be used efficiently. From this we can say that a data structure is a special format for organizing and storing data. We can look into data structures in two different ways. The first one is where we can see it in logical abstract view or model, in which we can just specify what are the things that data structure is going to have. We know that data structure is a way of storing data. When I am mentioning way of storing, there must be some rules that are to be followed. All those rules can be modeled as a proper view. So we can write all the characters or specifications of it. And this comes under logical or abstract view. The second part is implementation, where we will use all those rules and regulations and actually implement it in some programming languages. All the syntaxes of different programming languages are based on this logical view. That is, the implementation of data structures may change, but logical or abstract view won't change, it will be same. So now we have some basic knowledge on how to look into data structures. When you are studying data structures, you may come across this term abstract data types quite often. Before defining abstract data types, let us consider the different view of system defined data types. We all know that by default all primitive data types, that is int, float, etc. support basic operations such as addition and subtraction. The system provides the implementation for the primitive data types. For user defined data types, we also need to define operations. The implementation for these operations can be done when we want to actually use them. In general, user defined data types are defined along with their operations. That means we have to specify the operations and also implement them if we need. To simplify the process of solving problems, we combine the data structures with their operations, and we call this as abstract data types, that is ADTs. Now let's try to define what an abstract data type is. ADTs are like user defined data types, which defines operations on values using functions without specifying what is there inside the function and how the operations are performed. An ADT consists of two parts. First one is declaration of data, second one is declaration of operations. That is, we know what data we are storing and also the operations that can be performed on them, depending on the data structure. But it do not have implementation details because every different programming languages have different types of implementations. For example, a particular data structure is implemented using structures in C. But same data structures can be implemented using objects and classes in Java language. So basically ADT is the abstract or logical view that we already talked about. Commonly used ADTs include linked list, stacks, queues, graphs and many others. For example, stack uses last in first out mechanism while storing the data in data structures. The last element inserted into the stack is the first element that gets deleted. Common operations of a stack ADT are creating the stack by initialize function, inserting an element into the stack by push function, deleting an element from the stack by pop function, and also we can check whether the stack is empty or not by isEmpty function. And also if we want to check whether the stack is full or not, we can use isFull function to check it. We can also write some operations to finding number of elements in the stack, etc. There are multiple ways to implement an ADT. For example, a stack ADT is implemented using arrays or linked list. The program which uses data structure is called a client program. It has access to the ADT, that is interface. The program which implements the data structure is known as the implementation part of it. Think of ADT as a button which hides the inner structure and design of the data type from user. For example, take smartphone. If we press different icons or buttons present on the screen, each one will perform its own operations. Like if we tap on cam, it will open the camera. Here we don't know the inner structure or code to open the camera. It will be hidden from us. It means to users. This is what exactly ADT means. Now let's understand why ADT is needed. While defining the ADTs, we need not to worry about the implementation details. They come into the picture only when we want to use them. Let's say if someone wants to use the stack in the program, then he can simply use push and pop operations without knowing its implementation. Also, if in future the implementation of stack is changed from array to linked list, then the client program will work in the same way without being affected. Finally, we can conclude that ADT provides abstraction. That is, we are dealing with the idea on a particular operation without knowing about its implementation. Now, I am going to mention some important notes. Different kinds of ADTs are suited to different kinds of applications, and some are highly specialized to specific tasks. By the end of this course, we will go through many of such ADTs and you will be in a position to relate the data structures to the kind of problems they solve. In the next presentation, we will discuss the formal definition of data structure and some of the advantages of it. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this presentation.